Hey there! Are you watching this video before the first part? You sick crazy dude! You need to watch part 1 before you jump into this one. Check it out here. Speedy and I worked real hard on it, so if you skipped it, I'll be pretty disappointed with you. And yeah. Megaman X4 was already a beastly sort of game with X's gameplay. The game drove terror into those who would play it. But why? Because it was just so fun to play.
As covered in part 1, Mega Man X4 is a solid gameplay of previous entries, but even better, and that firm foundation and overall enjoyability carries over to how Zero plays.
Zero's gameplay in Mega Man X4 is totally different compared to his original appearance in X3. While in X3 he was a reskin of X, in X4, Zero is a sword-slinging maniac capable of dealing so much damage and so many hits. Zero was truly a monster in this game. While X4 is technically considered easier than its Super Nintendo games, Zero is pretty much the hard mode through this entire game. And boy, mastering Zero in this is a lot of fun.
The two play very different, and it adds a ton of replayability to the game, and the two characters are so different that it almost feels like an entirely separate game at some points.
Zero charges into X4 with a slew of moves. He has a standard 3-hit combo, an air slash, and a wall slash, ladder slash. All moves but his first 2 slashes in the 3-hit combo deal multiple hits to the target, so technically Zero can kill enemies in 1 hit. You can also interrupt his floor combo by dashing, so you already get a little bit of flow with his moves at the beginning. But that's just the beginning. As you progress through the game, instead of getting weapons for Zero, you get moves. You get a double jump, you get a spinning attack, rising fire, sinking iceberg, so many beautiful moves, and they all work great. Best of all, no weapon bar. Well, except for one. Zero's Giga Attack is a pitiful screen nuke that he can use multiple times. It regenerates over time, and picking up weapon energy does make it refill. With how different Zero is, what does this mean for his bosses? Well, that's a different story. There are some bosses where you can just spam the move like X, but other bosses take efforts. Slash Beast and Magma Dragoon definitely come to mind. You certainly have to watch your P's and Q's when you're fighting some of these guys. Also, their weaknesses aren't the same as X for some bosses. Syra Peacock in particular is weak to Zero's Rising Fire instead of the move he gets from Split Mushroom. I think I would be underselling Zero if I just didn't really say how much good flow you're given in this game when you play as him. Just being able to master all this gameplay almost makes Zero even better than X. In fact, in some cases, he probably is better than X.
Now, don't get him wrong, X is still an enjoyable character and undoubtedly worth playing, but Zero is just so good and so fun that he overshadows X sometimes, if not most of the time.
Well, I guess in general it does come down to personal preference on who you prefer. I mean, yeah, X is cool, but Zero is just better, so whatever. Thanks to the decision to make this game on a 32-bit console with CDs, the Mega Man X series has been gifted some very nice audio direction. X4 has some great music in it, but there's an obvious over-reliance on synthesizers in the game's soundtrack. Yeah, it's great, but you wish there was some more variety. Speedy probably has shit taste, but I'm just curious, Speedy. What's your favorite song in Mega Man X4?
It's hard to say specifically, but I love Web Spider and Cyber Peacock's theme.
Oh, that actually isn't that bad. But I'm just saying, X intro stage, master race.
That one is great too, if not just for how it sounds epic and the great use of synthesizers in it.
Sound effects are also pretty incredible to hear. They do the job in sounding like what they should, and thanks to limitations being gone in the Super Nintendo area, the sound effects actually play differently depending on the side of the screen that you're on. Oh yeah, there was some stereo sound in this game, and Capcom played with it. Storm Owl in particular comes to mind, because you have to listen to see which side of the screen he'll be coming out of. And then there's also the voice acting. Well, let's review something a bit here. While X and Zero have the exact same story, they push about it in different directions. Zero's story has way more cutscenes than X and has a little bit more background to them. Zero was clearly given more of a story focus as compared to X. But it still follows the same base. Colonel's the main bad dude, you gotta go stop the general. Turns out it was Sigma the whole time, and the double character was actually a double agent. The difference is now the double character is Iris, the Colonel's sister, and Zero's got a thing for Iris and her silicone-filled boobs. But Iris ain't too happy about the two fighting. In fact, you skip the first Colonel fight as Zero, where instead a cutscene plays with Iris breaking it up. Oh boy, the cutscenes. I'm sure as you watch this you're thinking Capcom put as much effort into them as the gameplay. Right?
If that's your decision, prepare yourself!
The cutscenes are garbage. They just, overall, aren't that good. I will say that despite the cutscenes looking like low-budget anime, there's still some very nice scenes in it. They're still good fun to look at, but to listen to? Well, this is a double-edged sword, because it's so bad it's good. Imagine listening to someone just be horrible at acting, and you have the entire voice cast of Mega Man X4.
Or one of Stolken's videos.
Shut up, Speedy.
It's true.
The cutscenes do go into the lore of the franchise just a bit, such as Zero's origin story. But with the voice acting, it's impossible to take it seriously. It's so bad it's good. I'd highly recommend not skipping these cutscenes because, while the animation's pretty decent, there's some moments.
No, this isn't happening! There's no reason for me to go on. What? What am I fighting for?
Overall, Mega Man X4 is arguably the best game of the series, with great gameplay, fantastic graphics...
Excuse me, Speedy. This is my part. We gotta talk about changes we'd make to the game if we could.
Oh, okay.
Damn kids, thinking they can just collaborate with me and expect me to bend over. So, while X4 is a great game, a fantastic game, astounding, this is one of my favorite games of all time, there's still some noticeable issues in it. One of the noticeable issues I've seen is the slopes. I kind of wish they at least made it so that X could fire diagonally up and down instead of just hoping he can get them. Since there's no ducking or pressing up to jump, it would mesh well with the controls. Zero slightly counteracts this by having huge hitboxes for his attacks, but X could benefit from it. At times, the camera can also behave a bit strangely too. Left to right is no problem, it scrolls just fine, but going up and down can cause the camera to be a bit stingy. Falling down can sometimes be terrifying because you don't know if there's going to be a bottomless pit there or not. Plus, some of Zero's bosses should have been worked on a little bit better. I'd probably make the general focus a little bit more on melee, or at least be a little bit more lenient on getting Zero to hit him. This fucking attack. I'm just waiting. That's about all I could say. How about you, Speedy?
I can't really think of anything wrong with X4 that I want to change, except for what you mentioned, aside from a bit more variety in the musics. And by that, I mean less simps all over the place. Also, making the Giga attack useful would have been nice.
See, Speedy? It's fun to conform. But in reality, all of those criticisms are pretty much just nitpicking at the game. Now, this wraps up the review. Mega Man X4 is a stunning and well-made game.
Mega Man X4 is a fantastic game and arguably the best of the entire series. Great gameplay, great sound, great graphics, great controls, and a ton of replayability. X4 is worth checking out, and it isn't even that expensive, costing about $10 to get the X Collection on PlayStation 2.
Really, it's hard to not recommend this game to someone. It's not too hard or too easy, it's never really bad at any point. It's just an outright good video game. If you want to play this game, you better. Look no further than X4. And Popful Mail, and Rocket Knight Adventures, and Klonoa.
I think you forgot to mention some other fantastic games.
Well, okay, you can look further, but just keep those games in mind, too. Look, Speedy, all I'm saying is I can do good voices, it's just I don't have the time and I'm just mad.